Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Talk. And as you can see to my right, I have Obakeng Moreau, who is a local comedian. You may have seen him on my roast edition. He frequents there quite often. And this upcoming week, we haven't announced it yet, but he's going to be part of our conversation. Part of our ongoing conversation about to be woke or not to be woke. So he's going to be joining that conversation. It's been a very interesting conversation thus far. It's going to be part 3 this coming Wednesday. Please tune in, and if you haven't yet, go check out part 1 and 2. It's very interesting stuff. Now, Obakeng and I are here to talk about a growing question that's been happening recently. I've been approached by many different people privately and on social media. Hey, where is there like open mic night, and when is comedy going to start again, and all that stuff. And recently, last night, on July 8th, we had the first, I'm not sure, the first ever live stand-up comedy show post-lockdown, or is it? Yeah, it's post-lockdown, in Cape Town. And Obakeng was on the lineup. Chantal Fenter was running the gig, and it was held at Vicious Bar in Cape Town. Am I correct in saying that, Obakeng? You can say hi to everyone.
Vicious Virgin, which is a name that I found quite funny. Like, how vicious is this virgin? Like, you haven't had sex in such a long time, you're looking for dick. What's going on? But yeah, it was at the Vicious Virgin Bar on Wales Street, and I think it's a new venue that recently opened. Okay. Hello, everyone that's just tuning in. Hello, hi.
Yeah, so we have Nabila is joining us. Hello, Nabila. She was 4 minutes early. Thank you. We have Yanni who's joined in, Get Online Lynn, and Mr. Punisher. All the usual suspects. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm going to say it now. I have 2 other streams coming up back to back. So next up, I'll be sitting with Liam Bento, another comedian. We're just going to have fun in that show. And then I'm chatting to a guy who owns a gym, Sweat Shack. And we're going to be talking about gym and fitness during lockdown and how people or those people, when I say those people, sorry, business owners and the fitness industry is adapting to the lockdown, and maybe some sad news as well about the industry being under a bit of strain. Which brings me to this. Comedy industry is definitely under strain. There's pretty much nothing, as far as I know, happening. Obakeng, what was it like getting back? To start from the beginning, all right? So obviously, you got booked for this gig. Anticipation is high because now you're excited. First gig now, after being, I think, 3 months now, 100 days without any live performances in front of actual people. So explain to us, what was the vibe like? What was it like getting to the gig? Obviously, I imagine it wasn't the same because now we have to wear masks. Did they take your temperature at the door? How many people were there? Yeah, just tell us what.
It was all of that, man. Kudos, first and foremost, kudos and to Chantal Jacques for actually taking the plunge and organizing this thing. Yes. I think it was very brave of her because there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that right now. You know what I mean? For obvious reasons. Yeah. You know. And the vibe was actually it was great, man. It was, apart from the protocols that we had to observe, wearing masks, having to sanitize, no alcohol, which was very strange for a comedy gig. It was thoroughly refreshing, man. I think also it's because we just in that space where we've been confined for so long, and you can see it with comedians and also with the patrons that came to watch the show. They actually just want to get out and get some semblance of just normal life and entertainment, even with all these restrictions going on. They were very happy to be there, and the vibe was it felt like a stand-up show. But I'm not gonna lie, fam, 3 months out the game, you're rusty. Fuck, build up sludge, like wheel alignment of the jokes are off, brother. No antifreeze. It's rough. It was, for me, actually, it was rough because I was first up on the line and I almost ate shit. I got a few laughs here and there, but goddamn. But just to be out and just exercise the muscle again, man. It was really great. I thoroughly enjoyed just being there and seeing other comics as well. Seeing like how everybody's thinking, what everybody's feeling like. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Including,
what when you guys, because usually what happens when we're at a gig is we obviously hang out with the comics before the show, sometimes after the
mm,
show. Did you guys start at 7 p.m. like it advertised?
funny enough, yes,
Yeah.
people were on time. The crowd was there on time. Like nobody, I think look, it wasn't a big crowd, but 70% of the crowd was there before 7 p.m.
That's cool.
Everybody was,
Okay. All right.
right? And then I think about maybe seven more people walked in while the gig was still on. About
Hmm.
seven more people walked in. And yeah, and the gig continued. Just that because of now, there's the social things are
Distancing.
not there. We didn't really get to hang out as much because after the gig, everybody just wanted to go home because
Mm.
now you don't want to increase the chances of getting anything, just like
Yeah.
after being in a gig. So yeah, we didn't really hang out as we usually did.
Okay.
But everybody, it was on time. I think the show started at about 7:15.
Okay.
Not an hour later, like sometimes. But yeah, man, it was really well organized. Everything was set up all well in time, and there was sanitizers, everything that we needed to get it going.
And did you guys sanitize between each act? Or is that like a thing now?
Yeah, yeah, we did. We had to. It even became part of the show. Like Mel Jones came up, and before she came up, she was spraying Chantel with sanitizer. So, I don't want. Which just added to the fun. This is what I love about comedians, man. We can take even the worst of situations and just turn it into comedy because
Mm.
that is how we deal with literally everything. But it was very professionally handled. I mean, between each act, Chantel, who was the host as well, would sanitize the mic, and all the acts would sanitize the mic and everything. So we just made sure that we are as safe as can be in
Mm.
that space. Obviously, you can't do your stand up with a mic over your face because nobody's going to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know.
And
So it do that.
the people, did they have to sit there with their masks on, or could they sit there and not have the mask on?
Now, some people took you had to have a mask on to get into the venue. But I mean, when people are sitting down and they're eating and they're drinking, it's quite unfair to expect them to have their masks on all the time.
Mm.
So sometimes some patrons had their masks on the whole time and would only take it off when they're eating. Some just left it off because I mean they are around people that I think they trust. Everybody sat with people that they came with, and it wasn't a lot of is that the word, intermixing of
Yeah. You
people,
can say that.
whatever. Yeah, they were just sat with the people that they came with, and I mean, if you're gonna sit in the same car, you might as well sit at the same table.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw,
Well,
we've been seeing some interesting things on social media. I'm just curious to know. They didn't have any of those glass domes at the tables, did they?
nah, we're not in America, guy. Bubble tables. No, don't have that. Don't have that. But it was very much to a normal gig, man. Just with masks and no alcohol.
Okay.
So peeps were having virgin mocktails and food, and we had this. I don't know if it's these non-alcoholic beers that were, which actually tasted really well. Like I think they kind of the people in the alcohol industry that are getting into the non-alcoholic stuff. They're getting it right because now it becomes just more about the enjoyment and less about getting fucked up. You know what I mean?
Or maybe it's a placebo effect.
Maybe I don't know. Whatever placebo means, that's big English. We'll get into that. I'll
Um,
Google placebo and I'll be like, yeah. That's
it means that
what
you think that you're basically having the effect of what. So for example, if I was to give you, you came to me, you wanted a headache, right? And I gave you, okay, I said this pill will help you with this headache, right? And you take it,
yeah.
okay, and then the headache goes away, right? And then I tell you, actually, it was a sugar pill. That's a placebo effect. So you're
Oh,
taking something and
that's,
your mind tricks you.
placebo is the lie.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Got you.
I think if I think people might, if they drink the non-alcoholic beer, they might have a placebo effect, or they think they're drunk but they're actually not.
They actually know. That happened to me yesterday because I had I definitely had a placebo effect because I had about three non-alcoholic beers and there I was just laughing and talking shit to everybody. So I figured I had a lot of placebo. I drank a lot of placebo yesterday, bro. I drank a lot of that placebo. Yeah,
uh, all right,
it's
so
fun.
It's a pretty normal thing. I'm glad to hear all this. I'm glad, and once again, shout out to Chantel for taking the plunge. I mean, someone had to do it
Mm.
eventually. I don't
Mm.
think that there's, it's that age old saying. Maybe, some. I think some comedians. I mean, let's just have an honest conversation here. All right, there
Yeah.
are going to be some comedians and people who think, no, shouldn't do that, shouldn't go out, shouldn't risk it. You know,
Mm.
that's the reality right now that we're living in. Things are peaking at the moment with the pandemic. Um,
Mm.
so I think there is concern for some people. However,
True.
as I've been saying since the beginning of this pandemic, is there has to be a point where people just go back to work. There has to be a point where people normal kind of starts happening. So I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, I know you went, which kind of answers the question,
Yeah.
but how do you honestly feel about that?
Look, here. I was actually having the same discussion with a friend of mine, just on a different topic. Here's what I think. This is a kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, if
Mm.
you ask me, right? Because here's the thing. Yes, it is risky to go out there because things are peaking and all of that. But the inverse of that is, if people don't go to work and we don't let these spaces operate, we are letting this our industry die, and any other industry for that
Yes.
matter. To be honest, everything is going to die, and there'll be nothing to get back to. So for example, if we don't do anything, we don't hold some kind of show or do anything to kind of help these spaces that we're supposed to be performing in, those are the spaces that we're depending on to have stage time. We don't have You don't have a big back room or yard or whatever where people can just come and perform willy-nilly. All the spaces that you use, they need to have some kind of income to keep going so that we have stage time. You know what I mean? If now we let those spaces die, what happens to our industry then?
Mm.
What happens to any industry then? You know what I mean? Because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah.
So I would rather, for lack of a better phrase, take my chances, right? To protect what that the little future that I have with these spaces being open and being able to exercise this comedy muscle that I need, instead of just sitting back and letting it die
Mm.
for something that's it's that we inevitably going to live with, whether we like it or not.
Mm. Can I
You know what I mean?
play
Because
Can I play devil's advocate a little bit? So
yeah,
I think some comedians might say to you, "Yeah, but Obakeng, you do freelance work and you do graphic design. You have another means of making an income, so you don't have to risk it. Because think about your family, think about the people around you. Going
yeah,
out is a risk. Whereas some comedians may need that extra cash or that like for example Chantel,
yeah.
she makes a living off of comedy, as do I. So for them, fine, we understand. You need to make a living or whatever. What do you say to that? Because I do have a follow up on that, but what do you say to that
Okay.
portion?
Look, it's still the same thing. Chantel, or all the comedians that need this industry, needs it to work, to be open. So it's a fair ask for them. You know what I mean? They need to they need to be given the chance to able to operate in the career that they've chosen, and they need the people who are willing to come out and get entertained, to come out and support them. You know what I mean? And for a person like me as well, who does have a 9 to 5 job, I still need it anyway because comedy still matters to me as well. What I do, and it's a big part of my life just as much as my job is a part of my life.
Hmm.
And ultimately, with all of this, is no one is forced to do anything that they don't want to do, right? There is no patron that's, if you don't feel like coming out and enjoying it, there's nobody that's holding a gun to your head and saying go out to a comedy show. The organizers, we are saying we are providing the space. These are the protocols that are going to be followed. We want you to be able to have some entertainment in this space that we have. This is the talent that we have as comedians. Are you willing to come out, yes or no? And
Hmm.
those that want to come out are doing that, signing in at the door and making a choice for themselves as individuals.
Hmm.
So and if you ask me, it's an even playing field when you do that, because you're saying, if you're scared and with reason, yes, don't. If you're concerned, yes, don't. I don't have, for example, my risks are a little bit lightened because I don't have like my parents that I'm living with. I live alone.
Hmm.
So I'm putting less people at risk because I'm not coming back home and giving it to some other people. Whereas for people like you, maybe that you have a family, you have a wife and everything else, the situation might be different. So it's different for everybody else. So those that are willing to come out and support the little that's there must be given a fair chance to do that.
Mm.
That's how I honestly feel about it. And that's my reason why I went out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dude, I agree with you. Like I said, I've always had the stance of from the very beginning, we never should have closed the economy down
Yeah.
completely the way we did, but it's slowly opening up now, so that's good. And I stand by it. I say those that can work from home if they're so concerned, but those that have to go out and make a living and put food on the table, do it, but just do it safely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allow them to do, because you know what, to add to what you said about the economy thing, I just look, I this and correct me if you think my sentiments are maybe somewhat obscured, because I you know, my bone in this fight is very much general. um in order for us as a country to be able to pay for these beds and this medical necessities that are needed in the hospitals and such like, we need people to be working to generate that money. Because
Yep.
otherwise, where in the hell is this money going to come from?
Why do you think
You know what I mean?
everyone's so pissed off about the cigarette ban? There's a lot of money
Exactly.
not going into the government so they can help.
You see what I'm saying? And post pre-lockdown, we were already in shit economically as a country.
Thank
And
you.
this is not my own. This is not. This is a common thing that everybody knows. We were already in shit. We weren't able to pay half of the things that we need to pay forward in this country. So now we are in a situation where we need that tax money. Because you know the venue that opened up yesterday, with the little bit of money that they pay, they're going to pay tax on that, isn't it?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So now, where if nothing is working, where are we going to get the money? Because we know we don't have money in this country because of corruption and all the other things that are happening. Where are we going to get the money to pay for everything that is needed if businesses close, which generate future income for the company, for the country? So the little that we can do to make sure that we preserve our future careers, we're gonna have to do that, whether COVID or not. We're gonna have to try and do that, because we don't have any other rescue plan.
Yes.
There isn't.
Well, that's the thing, and like you said earlier, you know, if it continues to be closed, we may not have
Yeah.
anything to go back to, which has always
Back
been
to. Yeah.
the argument. I had a follow-up question for you, and now it kind of slipped my mind, but it'll come back to me. Something else I wanted to ask, moving forward and stuff like that. Would you encourage other comedians to, like, do you feel last night was a good testing, a good, like, maybe survey to say to other comedians, you know what, if you do X, Y, and Z, go. Let's start reopening the entire comedy industry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, to those that are willing, because there would be those that aren't, because we know in this game not everybody plays ball and not everybody agrees with what's happening. You know what I mean? We will all have different opposing views because we are humans before we are comedians.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
I would say give it a shot and see and make your own decision, because the other thing that I realized being out there yesterday, besides from just comedians, you know, really to just go back on stage and do what they love, is to see the joy on the patrons' eyes just being outside and physically even saying, listen, you guys don't know how much we needed this. You know? Not just, oh, this was nice, fuck, I haven't done this in a long time. We need to come out and just laugh and feel human again. You know what I mean? And after I saw that, that's the one thing that confirmed my decision to believe that this was the right thing to do for those people, because at the end of the day, as performers, we don't only do it for ourselves, but we do it for the people that take their time out to come and see us.
Yes.
So yeah, I would encourage comedians to come out. I mean, look, we can always put some kind of regulations in and be like, okay, cool, if you're booked for the event, just you come as the comedian. We don't have to fill up the space with all other comedians or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying people shouldn't come out to support the shows, but I'm just saying if we have to put in some kind of regulations on who's there and who's not to, you know, fit into the regulations that we had, whether we're living in under. Yes, we do that. Let's stay safe and all of that, but give it a shot and see what's out there and how much it means to the people that support the industry. And yeah, that's what I would say. Give it a shot. But also, if you don't, nobody's forcing you to do that, because if your health is more important to you at this present moment in time, you are well within your rights to not go.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
Those who want to do it, do it. Those who don't want to do it, don't have to. It's as simple as that. But don't also, like, because people are doing it. It's amazing how sometimes there's a double standard. For example, everyone's okay with the hairdressers opening up or restaurants opening up. Yay! But oh no, don't let performers go back. Don't let the performers do their thing. Everyone needs to put food on their table. So
exactly. And we do it in different shape. We do it in different ways.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna look at the comments quickly. So Nabila, I'll start from here. Get You Online Lynn says we need you, comedians. We need comedians, like you just said about the audience. Nabila says proud of you for getting out there again, Oba. Peter Sarwanga is
yes, you must watch. Let me put it on record so that everybody knows. Peter, I'm not paying you 20 rand back. You're not getting 20 rand back, fam.
Wait.
Anyway, yes.
You have no idea how funny that is right now.
I'm not paying you back, fam. I'm saying, fam, I'm gonna go Kanye West on this motherfucker. I'm saying, fam, you're not getting your 20 back. I mean,
because his first comment is actually question: would you encourage Obakeng to pay me back my 20 rand? Literally the first thing he said.
I don't even know this fucking 20 rand that this guy is talking about. You just pulled this thing out of thin air, because I've bought him more beers like than this freaking 20 rand that he's talking about. God. But anyway, it's fine. Here's this 20 rand. Thinking this last sip of my wine is worth $20. Here's to you, Pete.
Peter also has another question. Why does Obakeng have an EFF color couch?
What? This is not a couch. I'm covering up my mess. This is junk at the back of me here. This is just junk. This is laundry and boxes from Take-A-Lot that I'm not willing to let go of yet, because I don't know if I'm going to move in the next 3 months. So this is junk. You see, there's another box there for a computer. If you could see the angle here, yeah, you'll see a lot of stuff. This is junk. And also, I'm not going to say that. My EFF might just want to book me for a gig. So.
Oh shit!
This might just be sponsorship that COVID sponsorship. You don't know, Baba. You don't know these things. Subliminal messaging. You don't know these things.
All right. So Nabila also says, Oba, Oba, you can be Kanye. I'll be your Kim. So you might want to. Wait. There's a question number 2 coming from Peter. It's loading, it seems, because he just can't. Okay, here we go. Why does Obakeng have EFF colored junk?
It's on Kenyan Wi-Fi. His Wi-Fi is still coming from Kenya.
Why do you have EFF colored junk?
Next question.
Next question. Yeah. All right. So, damn. Every time I remember the question, then I forget about it. It's a good one too. It doesn't matter. It'll come to me. It will come to me shortly. It was something about the industry. I know it was about the industry. Sorry, guys. Well, okay. So you went to a gig. It was cool. You guys did your thing. What was the vibe? So before the show, because you said you didn't hang out after the show, but before the show, comics excited? Were people keeping their distance? Were you guys keeping your distance from each other? Were you guys relaxed? What was the vibe?
Yeah, for the most part, we were trying. I mean, look, just like in any space, man, when you first arrive, and because, excuse me, everybody has heightened sensitivity right now, you try and do social distancing and try to keep your, but at the end of the day, people are just going to relax. For me, you're in a relaxed state. You can't enjoy comedy if you're edgy, because that's how you become a Karen. You know what I mean? But But so at the end of the day, people relaxed, and everyone just sat with the people that they came with and just became comfortable. Some, the comics that were there, I came alone, so I sat with Chantel and the peeps that were there for her and with her. And Nelson joined us earlier, so we tried, but we were just comfortable and we just relaxed. And in where we were close together, we just kept our masks on and try to keep as safe as possible. Every time we went to go get a drink, you sanitize your hands. When you come from the bathroom, you sanitize. So we were doing as much as we possibly could in that space to be safe, but in the same sense, not to be too, uptight to not enjoy us. Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, because you can there's this whole thing that we're in is it's not fail safe. You as much as you can get COVID in a restaurant, you can get it at a line at the Woolies, or you can get it in wherever. So there's no fail safe place to be. All you gotta do is just make sure you're as cautious as possible if you're gonna go out in public and be normal.
Which is why, you make a good point there, because a lot of people are angry that they can't go to the beach. It doesn't make any sense. You can get into a taxi that's pretty much full. You can go to a comedy show now. You can go to church, but God forbid you go step on sand for some odd reason.
People always forbid things that they probably can't do. It's easy for me to be in Johannesburg. If I'm in Joburg and there are people in Cape Town who have the beach anyway, I can complain and be like, you can't go to the beach because I don't have a fucking beach in Joburg. You know what I mean? It's just you can't look, man. We're not living in a tyranny. You can't control people to that extent.
Exactly.
People do what they do because these are the countries that we live in.
So Nabila says, question number 3, virtual date, and she's laughing. Peter then said, I love Obakeng. I love you, Obakeng. And then Nabila said, oh, Peter, I love Oba more. Hugs and all around. And then...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So much love. Oh, man, I'm touched. I'm going to start crying. I'm going to become that crying emoji right now, Joe.
And then Yanni said, okay, Obakeng is cock funny.
Thank you. I'll take it because I sucked last night a little bit.
And then Peter asking, is the beanie a bloom thing?
No, the beanie is a winter thing, you fucking Wesley Pipes looking motherfucker. This guy. Here's the thing. Pete is a very smart guy.
He is.
I'm expecting him to ask really intriguing, and he's a fucking comedian to begin with.
He asks great questions, by the way. Like last night, he was asking really great questions. I don't know where these questions are coming from.
Now because it's me, Wesley's short pipes is coming out here and asking stupid ass questions with a topic that directly involves him. I'm actually disappointed at this motherfucker. Mini stallion mother. Just guy. Anyway, love you, Pete, but you're very disappointing right now.
And was there ever a time last night where some of the comedians may have said, well, I guess those that were there weren't actually scared to go out because they were there. So that's kind of a stupid question to ask. Yeah. So forget what I was about to ask there. Yeah, it sounds like it was a good success. I know you mentioned to me that they will be doing it weekly, which is awesome. So it looks like there is a spot that's going to start happening weekly. Now I remember what the question is. Do you think, depending on how bad things get now, because like we mentioned, we're going on a peak now, right? So do you think that there is a sort of time limit to the nostalgia for some people? Because so obviously a lot of people in South Africa in general are still wary to go out. We've discussed this. Some are scared, some aren't. So those that aren't might be like, cool. Like you said last night, you felt that you could see everybody was like, oh, we needed this. But now they got their fix. So now those people may not come out again for a while. So what I'm saying is, even though maybe it was a full house last night, maybe a full house for the next 2-3 weeks, Do you think it will die down? Do you think there's a possibility for that?
Yeah, there is a possibility, I think, because just like anything, if you've missed anything that hasn't happened for a long time, you're kind of feeling for it, and then once it becomes the norm again, which we do need that norm, even if it's two people in the crowd, we do need those two people, you know. I think it will peak and then it will die down again, and it will become the industry which we've known. And I'm hoping that it grows. I'm
Mm,
hoping that people would realize how necessary it was, because it was always just there and they could pick and choose any day. But now that it was taken away within for
mm.
such a long time, they realize how important it is, and hopefully they'll come out and support it more. But that we'll wait to see how that goes. You know,
That's
I think
actually a fair point. Almost they took it for granted before. And I
yeah,
guess that applies with all the entertainment industry.
it
Whether it's theater or going to the movies. Flip, dude, I miss
being
the
going,
movies. Like I miss the movies
bro.
so much.
Bro, same, because I'm a movie buff. Like as much as I love Netflix and sitting at home and watching stuff, that whole mission of just going to the cinema and buying the popcorn and sitting
Yeah,
and hearing the sound
the
sound, because I'm
smell
also
of
a
the
visual,
popcorn. Like,
all of that. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Seeing like the graphics on because I don't have a freaking 70-inch screen on me. I have a little tiny ass TV. So I want to see. And I'm a graphic designer, so visuals are everything to me. I
Yes.
want to see all the effort and work that the production studios put into the movie before. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are gonna come out and realize exactly how important entertainment is, really.
I hope so because if I'm
Mm.
honest, my skepticism comes from knowing that South Africa could be in the next few weeks, even we'll see when the stats come out,
Yeah,
on a 50% unemployment rate, which is
heavy,
heavy. Yes, that's
astronomical.
yeah,
And if these people are out of jobs, guess what? We don't have patrons. We don't have fans. We
my
don't
point.
have you know, we
Yeah,
don't have spaces to perform, because all these people that you're talking about, these are the waiters at the clubs and pubs. These are the general public from all walks of life that come and see us. We directly are impacted by their livelihoods being there for them. You know what I mean? So it's a domino effect for everyone, bro. For everyone.
yeah,
Even if we can protect however much we can, if there's no livelihood to go back to, then we don't have an industry, because the spaces can be open, but if people don't have money to come and spend,
exactly.
what
And
do we do?
let's not forget about the impact of being downgraded again. We're in a
Mm.
recession. That's been announced that we are in a recession, so everything
That was
goes up.
pre-COVID, but
Yeah.
that was pre-COVID. Yeah.
I mean, here, McCleary has joined us. Thank you, McCleary, for joining in. Chico's also joined us as well. Thank you, Chico. Um,
That is to stop wearing wife beater vests. That's one thing I tell McLaren. McLaren is my dude. My dude is out there in London doing the things. But there was a picture that Mario used of him for Laughter and Lockdown. He was wearing this wife beater T-shirt. I mean vest with his beard on. I was like, my man, you look like a drug addict in that thing. No, just don't. But I love you, Mac.
I'm actually
My
gonna
boy.
have I'm gonna have McCleary on my show soon. I must announce it.
He's funny dude. Very, very intellectual as well.
Well, he
But
says
stuff.
here the economic of I can't say that word on YouTube because they have a fanny wobble, but of the virus is going to be heavy, guys. There's a lagged effect. End of August, he continues, should start seeing some mortgage defaults, etc. Um, Let me just see if he said anything else quickly. Yeah. So that's true. Again, people are unfortunately without a job. Companies couldn't keep up with paying their employees and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
don't know what's happened with the funds. I mean, we've had an interesting conversation. We might as well touch on it. In the comedy industry, recently, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Yassine Barnes asked who's received funds, if at all, if any, to help artists, relief funds for artists, and it was a resounding no from everyone. And obviously, as comics, we make fun of the situation, but it's it's okay to make fun of it. But the reality is very sad that performers. I have always felt since the beginning of this, performers have fallen by the wayside. There's been
Completely,
nothing.
completely, completely.
There have been
And yet, I'm like, sorry to cut you. Like,
no.
I'm echoing the same sentiments, which is obviously not my own words, but performers are the very same people who are expected to entertain everybody else when they're sitting at home and doing whatever it is that they do for their living. That is our job, but yet it seems to not matter. But yet all the music that is being consumed, all the comedy specials, all the movies, they come directly from performers. So
Yeah, exactly. It's a very sad and real situation. I mean, we have here some people saying, Peter, like.
Pete, mute Peter. Can we start a hashtag in this show? Hashtag mute Peter. What is that a hashtag? Good Lord.
He has a question again.
What the fuck is he saying?
Does Obakeng have merch?
I have what merch?
Merch, yeah.
For what?
I guess he likes your beanie.
Fuck him. Like, he's surprised I have beanies that fit me. This motherfucker. This is one size fits all, and I am part of the all, guy.
Oh, man. It's okay, Peter. You're funny. Yeah, so Nabila says you cannot say the C word on YouTube anymore, even though it's all over the media. Yep, that's just how they operate. It makes you question.
Is it the word that rhymes with blunt?
Sorry?
Is it the C word that rhymes with blunt?
No. The other C word, the C19. I think I can say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't say that. Oh, because if YouTube, I don't know how. I think there's algorithms and people like the word kind of just pops up on their flag or that it's flagged. The YouTube will take the video down if you say it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we know what's happening with the funds, Joe. No one is getting them. Well, I wouldn't say no one.
I think funds were made available and they went to someone's pocket.
Exactly.
That's my thing.
There
are funds available. Who they went to, that's the question that we need to ask. It's not like those funds weren't available. We do know that those funds are available.
So McCleary says Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Oba, the arts aren't as respected as basic essentials: food, water, electricity, shelter, etc. Sadly, there's going to be some tough choices to make for some, and I agree with that. That's something I've been saying as well. When there's a crisis in the world, a war, pandemics, economic crisis, so like a recession or a Great Depression. The first thing to be cut is entertainment. People
considered a nice to have, I guess.
People will be like, you know what? I'm not going to spend $50 on a show because that will buy me bread and milk, which will last me another week. And that is a reality. I understand that, but I still think that there could have been some relief fund for the artists, especially ones. And this is what makes me so angry: is Comedy Cartel is not doing well at the moment. I'm barely able to keep it going with all the expenses, and there's not a lot of expenses. But there's a website. I'll be honest. I've had to shut down the website. I can't keep it up anymore. I just can't. Some of you will realize that I've actually deleted Comedy Cartel because it's just not sustainable. I can't keep it open. I'm not going to run shows because at this very moment in time, because my business module, if I was to do it where I think they do door deal and stuff, I can't. I can't. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the effort I do. Oh, but you know the standard of shows I do. It's kudos to anyone who wants to do it, but for me, I'm like, nah, I don't do door deals. I do something else, and because of the business module, it's not sustainable because I know that restaurants won't be able to accept that deal that I give them. So for me,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I have to make a choice, and unfortunately, I'm one of the businesses that is basically going under. And you see, I would have loved to have some relief. I'm
Yeah.
not a very big business where I need like R1 million or 500,000 rand. I would any like maybe 20K, 30K for 3, 4 months would have tied me over very nicely.
Yeah. You're a
So
registered business that's there, that's contributing to tax and all of these
exactly,
things. You know,
yes,
you're not running like a covert operation.
exactly.
I
So
mean,
so yeah, unfortunately, we may not see Comedy Cartel for ongoing, which is a very sad thing. But yeah, again, to my point, having the relief fund would have been nice for entertainers. And I have heard some people say in the entertainment industry, like, yeah, if you're an events company, you can get it. But again, there's red tape, there's all this stuff. I don't know.
yeah, there's all of that. Sorry, man. I just got a freaking WhatsApp. I need to just shut down this WhatsApp thing on my computer because it's gonna keep disturbing the chat.
No worries. I'm just gonna look here. Rochelle says, "Oh wow, why?" I hope I answered your question, Rochelle. If you can just in the comments say what you were referring to there.
Mm.
Um, Chico says, "Cut the sports budget. Fuck him." Um,
I can totally hang out with Chico. I love Chico. The only sport I care about is fight sports. I like fight sports. If they keep the UFC and the EFC going, I'm good. Everything else, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, well, I'm the same. I like I don't like well, I'll watch fighting, but I don't keep up with that. I keep up with extreme sports. So if they can open that up again, I'll be there. Chica says, how about those big U.S. businesses that government payments, billionaires, etc., that got payments, billionaires, etc. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with the relief fund of USA, but as far as I
Yeah.
know, from my contact in the USA, they have been giving them out.
Mm.
There's also criteria, obviously, but they have been giving it out. So I
And
don't know
in
the
the
details.
US, from like, because I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. I mean, it hasn't been glorious out there, but artists, comedians specifically, have been getting their what do they call it? They have a different name for it, but it's almost like um a, a relief fund for them as well. It's to the tune of like $120 or $1,200 or something like that they
Mm,
have been getting. Some didn't get, some got, but the majority of registered, recognized, working career comedians have been getting it. So
that's
they have
cool.
been far better than us
Mm,
with regard to that. But also they have a far better economy than us.
that's also true.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So now because of the state that we are in this country, it's gonna be rougher for us than it is for them.
And can I also do a shout out for Vanner Weber? Because not a lot of people know this, but he took it upon himself to help comedians, and he raised funds, and he has given food vouchers, and I think cash. I stand under correction with the cash part, but he has
Mm.
helped fellow performers in the industry. So I want that to be known that some comedians
Big.
are doing what they can to help their fellow
Mm.
comedians. I myself also take donations during my shows with the sit down and
Yeah.
lockdown to help some of the guys. But of course, donations have been a bit scarce. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not trying to say anything. I understand. Like we're just discussing now, everyone's under strain.
No,
I
I
get that.
said donate because we need that money for everybody else. Don't be modest out here with it. Yo, donate. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Wi-Fi is expensive, guys. We don't just do this thing. We obviously have to get these things out of our chest. But yo, we need y'all to donate as well so we can keep this shit going. Wi-Fi ain't free. Shit. Okay, I needed to vent. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Luckily, I think you were one of the comedians that benefited from your. I think I donated to
Yeah,
you. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, you did.
yeah.
You did. I managed to buy my milk from Woolies from the money that I made from your account. But also, like, another thing, Joe, why I came out to yesterday's show, which was also one of my main reasons, is primarily for that, to support my
Mm,
fellow comics. because I'm in a privileged position, okay, where I have a day job that keeps me alive, that pays for everything, right? But I know from what my little experience in the game, I know how hard it is to make money off of comedy. Like,
Yeah, it's very
people
hard.
don't know. Like, it's to get a gig that's gonna pay you decent money, you have to put in much work, or you have to have some kind of class. It's rough. It's really, really rough. So in my head, it was my way of coming out and supporting my fellow comedians who I know for real that they need this shit. You know what I mean? Chantel is a career comedian. She
Yes.
needs to make money. And if we don't support those gigs as comedians, whether you need the money or not, you know what I mean? Then you are crippling people that are more dedicated to this than you are, because it's easy for me to fall back and be like, yo, I'll chill for a minute because I love my comedy, but still I still have my job. So, but for peeps like Chantal and everybody else who are in the same boat as her, they need this. They don't have that choice.
Yeah.
But then when everything is fine, and let's say this whole pandemic is finished and everything, those are the people that we're gonna now depend on to keep gigs going, because they have the muscle and the will to put themselves out there in the front line to actually organize gigs. And those are the gigs that we, not needing money comedians, quote unquote, are gonna want to perform at.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd rather go out there and support the people who are more dedicated to this industry than I am, because I'm not a career comedian. I want to be in the future, but I'm not a career comedian yet. But I want to be. But the best thing for me to do is to pull those people who are at much risk than me to keep this thing going, because I wouldn't have a future career to fall onto without them.
No, I hear your point, and it's tough, man, because you're gonna get you're gonna get two sides of the coin with that one. The ones that are gonna be like, yeah, we should support, but also Obakeng, that's kind of irresponsible because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, but again, it goes back to, if you can, do it. If you can't, can't. It's fine.
Nobody's forcing anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. That's the crux of it. There's no tyrant who's saying, "Hey, come on to comedy shows," and there's nobody that says, "Hey, you got to," you know what I mean? We're in a space right now where you have to be grown up about your own shit.
Yeah.
If you're willing to go, because everyone that's making that decision, whether it's space that's opening up, people that are deciding to go to the show, comedians that are deciding to go to the show, patrons that are deciding to come and support the shows, they make in their own individual, knowing exactly what they're going out there for, the information that they have.
Yes.
And you have to allow those people to make their own decisions. And I know this impacts everybody else, but you can't, you can't expect them to not make those decisions.
Yeah. I just want to bring up here, McCleary asked, where are the philanthropists, though? No arts-based organization we can appeal to, maybe a foreign one. I don't know about foreign. I don't think the foreigners really care because they've got their own pandemic to deal with. But again, Werner Weber helped as best as he could. There have been some that I have seen that have taken it upon themselves, people in the industry, for like musicians and others. And I know Whacked was doing one where there was a relief fund or whatever. And, I wouldn't call them philanthropists, though, but they were people of the arts that were helping as best as they can. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
And let's not pretend that, pre-pandemic, the government that we're under gave a shit about the arts. Let's not pretend, because they didn't. Largely, the entire arts sector has been very private, with very little assistance from any government or from our government. Very little.
Yeah.
In anything, in the way it's been governed, in the way it's been protected, in all the things. Artists have been crying about a lot of stuff for years. So let's not pretend that pandemic is the one thing that's breaking the camel's back. We've been trying to operate privately, we've been on our own for a long time as artists.
That's true.
It's just always been like that. So if we're forced in a situation that forces us to even be more on our own, then we're gonna do exactly what we've been doing for all these years.
That's true.
So it's nothing new under the sun for us. It's just it's a pandemic on top of the hardships that we've been having as artists anyway.
That is very true. I worry now thinking about it because I've heard some other stories about performers, musicians, dancers, actors. I know that the film industry is slowly getting up and running again, but it's under, again, very strict conditions. I think about the performers in the rural areas. I was watching a YouTube stream, one of these YouTubers on YouTube, and he had Man Patriot. Go check him out. Man Patriot's awesome YouTube channel, and he was having a conversation with lawyers, which I found very interesting. They were talking about the entertainment industry and how performers need to lawyer up sometimes and to protect themselves, especially when it comes to contracts and clients and stuff like that. And they spoke about how the rural performers, the performers in the rural areas, most of them don't understand, like, specific contractual agreements and stuff like that. And now with this pandemic, and I mean, we as comedians are worried, like, oh crap, how do we pay? But I cannot imagine what they're also going through. And that's again what I want to know. Where did this fund go to? Because if you tell me, oh, it went to someone in that area who really needs, I'll be like, fine, you know what, give my share to them, that's fine. I'll find another way. But we don't know. We don't know where all these funds went to.
It's this. I have a feeling that this thing, it stopped at the people at the very top who were advocating for it to be available. You know what I mean? Stopped because all of us were advocating to it, but it stopped with the people that were mandated to distribute it, because there's rules and regulations for everything, right? There's rules and regulations to how money is distributed. It's a process. So it has to filter down to somebody, and then somebody has to send it to someone else, and then it gets to the people that it has to get to. And in that pipeline, it went to the troughs of people who are at the helm of that.
Yep.
Because we are in this thing where it's a very, very broken system that we're living in, where so many things are corrupt in every space where you're expecting relief to come from. You know what I mean? We know there are corrupt people in the arts. There are corrupt people everywhere. You know what I mean? It gets to those people and it just magically disappears and never makes it to the people that it needs to get to, because there's a lot of people that are in these spaces because they have connections, and they will be the first persons to get that money. And where that money ends up, nobody knows. And largely we know how fragmented it becomes when it comes to contracts and artists.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. That's why I recommend any artist to go and watch Man Patriot. I can't remember what episode it was, but you'll find it. Just Google Man Patriot and lawyers. It was a very interesting conversation. I chimed in the live chats and said, like, a lot of the times, maybe a performer is scared to get a lawyer because of the expenses. But even those lawyers said there's a way around that. So people just need to know.
A lot of us don't know, A lot of us don't. I mean, I'm new in the comedy industry. There's a lot of shit that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the first entertainment lawyer to contact when I do get in the space where I'm gonna need one. I would most probably come and ask you, as having been in this industry for longer than I have. You will be my first point of contact and be like, yo, man, where do I go? Because I'm in the situation now where I need to lawyer up for whatever reason. Largely, we don't know. And I think for the most part, that is how we became extra exploited, because the rights that we have in this world that we're trying to operate in, largely those rights we have no idea of. We have no idea how they work.
True.
Because all of us, I mean, how many stories have you heard of artists getting swindled under very unscrupulous freaking contracts, because you just don't know, and all you want to do is just become this artist that you've always dreamt of, not knowing what's the black and white on paper. A lot of us don't know that. I don't know half of the shit that I need to know as a comedian right now, and I'm a very educated human being. and I went to good schools, and I have a
With
good
that
job.
big head, I would hope you are.
And that
Yes.
dude, I almost called you my N-word, but you know what I'm saying?
I'd be honored.
You know what I mean? But I like, and you know what I mean? We largely don't know those things because everything is always under these, exposure layers and all these exploitations that we have to go through until we get to a place where we actually know our shit. And most of us don't know our shit.
Yeah, and
Myself included.
you know something. I've heard bad stories. I've heard terrible stories. And I'm not going to mention the comedian that told me this story.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think, speaking about how performers have been swindled and stuff. I mean, there is a performer who the BEE system screwed him because the client, or not the client, but I think it was the agency he was working with, basically gave the quote to the client, and
Yeah.
then because it was like a BE thing, they were able to charge, like, what they do, they inflate the price. We've seen this many,
Yeah.
yeah. So they made it, let's say, 1 million, right? And then I'm not saying that was the amount. I'm just
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Hypothetically
Yeah,
speaking.
hypothetically speaking, and they gave the artist 30,000, and they kept the rest. And he
Right.
found out. He found out. So obviously he did what he had to do, and I think it's been resolved. But yeah, that's an example. That's one of the examples. There's
Yeah.
examples where oh, I'll pay you like 50% now, and then 50% later, and then they're gone.
No,
Yeah.
we don't, like, people don't know their worth. They don't know the contract that they're signing. And the thing is about those stories, that stuff happens to the smallest artist to the biggest
Yep.
artist. Like Double HP at his peak, homie, at his peak. One of my favorite artists, God rest his soul. Like, I'm still reeling over his death today. There was a show where he went on, and where he was talking about how a certain telecommunications company that he was in a deal with almost swindled him out of a large sum of money, like only giving him so much, whereas the deal that, or the amount of profit that they were going to make from that same deal was worth millions, but he was not even going to get close to that. And the idea that they were going to run with was, intellectual property of his.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's those stories. If you go into all of them, man, it's really heartbreaking. And the thing is, that is the back foot that we've been fighting off of as artists for the longest of time, because nobody cares about us until they need to.
I
Which
think
most
there's been a conversation of having a union for comedians, but like everything with comedians, we talk, and it takes time for us to do anything because we're too busy making jokes and smoking weed. So I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, challenge
no,
me,
but
challenge me.
it is what it is. It is what
Yeah,
it is.
like.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I just wanna go here. I didn't know that this happened to. Okay, so McCleary saying gatekeepers keeping the info for themselves or to themselves. Yeah, there is rumors of gatekeepers. I can neither deny nor confirm that rumor. Chica saying, yeah, the BEE system took me for a ride as well. I did not know that, Chica. I'd be very interested to hear your story on the show. He says the system bent me over and did horrible things to my lower half. Wow. Okay, that sounds intense.
That sounds like a category on Pornhub. It sounds like a tab. System does horrible things to lower half of comedian. Click here. That would be funny as shit, man. Exploit porn. How about system swindles money out of comedians. The system puts BBC into comedians. I'm sorry. I think that's a great sketch. Eh? Exposure porn. Let's do that. Did you think you were exposed? Well, guess what? Sorry, man.
No worries. And on that note, we're getting it's up to the hour. I have another show at 7 p.m., so I have to get prepared for that with Liam Bento, by the way, guys. So please.
I'm gonna be watching 3 of your shows today. Well, obviously I'm gonna be watching this one because I'm number one, and then 2, 3. But you have a fire lineup today, man.
Thanks.
Because everything that you're talking about is very closely related to what makes a big part of my life. Obviously, being comedy, Liam Bento's sneaker collection and his beard, um, and obviously the gym situation.
Yes.
I really want to listen to that because I am directly affected by that. I'm not in the business of fitness, but it forms a very big part of my life, and I'm wary of that industry going under because it's yeah. So I'm going to be listening to that show. Trust and believe.
All right, cool. I think, Obakeng, thank you so much for joining me tonight and talking about the comedy industry and the show that you were at last night. For those of you who tuned in, I'm seeing a lot of people that said, oh shit, I'm coming in late. That's fine. It's on YouTube. You can go rewind, watch it. As you can donate. Please donate.
This is not a beta tape. This is not appointment television. You can get it later.
Exactly.
And you don't have to play fees just to get it again.
Exactly.
The endorsement.
And we have a sketch idea now that I think we're going to do.
Yeah, dude, we should talk about. And I think Pete must get involved. Peter must get involved.
Pete is saying, bring Obakeng back.
Pete won't be
with my 20 rand.
Pete is too short to be BBC, so he's gonna be, I don't know, because he has the makings of a guy that potentially has BBC, but he's too short. So
aren't you shorter than him?
Yeah. No, we're about the same height, but the makings of Pete has BBC. He has BBC personality with no BBC to show for it. That's me. Pete looks like a mini me of Wesley Pipes. That's the very first thing I saw about him. I saw Pete and I was like, Pete. Every time I see Pete walk, I imagine like a Bang Bros logo right next to him. And he always has these fucking sunglasses on in daytime in his house. He has fucking sunglasses on. That confirms my bias. Love you, Pete.
I would love to see the two of you on a roast. I'd really love to see that.
That would be so much fun. That's my boy, man. I love Pete. In fact,
I don't think he'd do it though. He's yeah. I don't think he would do a roast.
Nah, well, but I want to give a special shout out to Pete. I know we talk shit all the time, but before I got on stage, the very first time before this guy actually even saw me on stage, I remember I was with him at the Mashtown with Nelson, and we were talking about comedy. And he was one of those people that actually motivated me and said, yo, dude, if you want to do this shit, come correct and be dedicated. You know what I mean? He gave me a 20-minute talking to. And those are the conversations till today. This happened like a year and a half ago. But that's the conversation till today that I still hold dear. And I want to commend him on that, because had it not been for that conversation and with Nelson, I would not have become a comedian. I probably wouldn't have stepped.
Okay, so are we doing our eulogy now? Is that what is happening? Okay, because I got a story too. I got a story too.
Emotional.
I got a story too about Peter. I got a story. He also, the first time I performed at Armchair. This is no joke. The first time I performed at Armchair ever was all right. Wasn't the best. Yeah. Okay, he was the only one laughing in the crowd. He was the only one laughing. But after the show, he came up to me. He's like, dude, you're a funny cat. Don't stop. And we had a drink together. And yeah, so Peter is an awesome dude. Okay.
Just needs to stop wearing those fucked up aviator glasses. Buy some good freaking sunglasses, Pete. I know you have better taste than that.
Oh man, this coming Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, we can see Obakeng, Peter, Mikhail, Ravenna Weber, and myself on a live stream. It's gonna be insane. But once again, thank you, Obakeng, for joining me and having this discussion. I think it was desperately needed. And anybody who watches afterwards, let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't be shy. I'll definitely have Obakeng back. We'll talk about other things in the industry, but I am talking about other comedians. Sorry, I'm talking with other comedians on different aspects of the industry. I have Lunga Tsuka coming onto my show next week. We're going to talk about influencers versus performers. That's going to be a very interesting topic. Arlene Peterson is going to be back on my show as well. And we're just going to have interesting conversations about the industry and life. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. It's been amazing. Like this video, please share it. And I will be back here at 7 o'clock with Liam Bento. Obakeng, pleasure.
Only a pleasure, homie. Thank you so much for having me on. Blah, 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 blah. Acceptance speech, acceptance speech, acceptance speech. I love you, Joe.
Cheers, everyone.
Peace, peace.